All right, here we are, everybody. We're back. The shuttle drive. I got my buddy Matt Wallin here of formerly Eddie Line Creations. Now, what is it now, Matt?
Downstream 5 creations or V, whatever you want to call it.
Downstream V Creation.
You make up your mind what the V means.
Yeah, he's we're gonna start calling him the rebranding expert. So that's what he is. He's a professional rebranding. Do you want to get into why you had to change that name?
Let's just say a certain rec company didn't like it. But it wasn't about the media, it was about apparel. But anyway,
Yeah.
just went ahead and changed it to avoid any confusion. So this is official. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Boy,
So in
you're
this
official.
Yeah, so man, I'm glad you kind of decided to come in. Let's do this again. You know, I tell people the podcast starts coming back with the weather.
Yep.
So it starts getting a little cooler out. We start getting more indoors. Let's do some podcasts. So in today's episode, what we're going to do, we're going to go over the creek boat niche again. Man, how many times have we touched this? Oh wow. And today, so in today's like podcast, well, video and podcast, what we have here, me and Matt's going to go over, you know, what I have is the flow, the GNAR, the code, the RMX, the Varus Flux, the Letman THP, horny potato baby, Ninja, the Stoke, Waka Stoke, bro, and the Scorch. And then I'm going to talk about the Soul Kayaks hammer because I did do a review on the hammer and had a little bit of time in that kayak. Matt has not paddled that boat, but you know what? I will tell you guys, and I'm sure Matt will like it if he ever does paddle it. And what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to try to break down everything from outfitting, fit and finish, plastic, durability, pricing, creakability, big water, play. What else we got on there, Matt? Let's
I
see.
don't know. It
Let's
might
see.
be a 6-part episode.
Yeah, we might take
We'll
this.
see.
Yeah, which and you know the number one that everybody likes. Which one's the best for beginners? You know, everybody loves that. Everybody loves
We
talking about
we we have a list of our personal choices too, like our size, our
exactly.
that kind of.
And how about yeah? Because we went. What do you think is good for advanced to expert? Because you know we've talked about this. I hate it when companies say it's a great beginner boat and it's a great expert boat. It can't be everything. It's
Yeah,
okay
it's
to not
impossible.
be good at something. You can't be good at everything. That's what I always say. And you know, Matt's gonna tell from he's paddled about every. I think you have. You paddled. We've paddled actually every kick boat out there at this point, haven't we?
Yeah, and pretty. I mean, on multiple rivers, pretty much all of them, at least for me, and yeah, pretty decent amount of time in all of them. So I
That's
think I got
crazy.
a good amount of knowledge on all of them.
I think so. I mean, I would consider you the only other expert I know. Me and you know, not to toot our own horns, but we are the experts because we do paddle a lot of different boats, and so we can go over these. Well, man, what would you like to start out with? What do you want to start out with first?
Oh gosh, I feel like maybe we should save our personal vendetta for last, because that's like what people probably really want to know, and beginners for last. So. I don't know, man. Let's start out with the technical stuff like outfitting and plastic, that kind of thing. What do you think?
Okay. If we're
Uh,
if we're doing outfitting, because plastic and durability is kind of something different to me.
yeah.
Because outfitting my this is known. You know, we have to rank something on something, but my least favorite outfitting is Piranha's outfitting.
Outfitting for me is least fitting is piranha, yes. Sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry.
buddy. Yeah, this is nothing new. I'm not, that's why I've, launched probably 15 hacks on them. I think you've even had a couple of little seat mods and stuff that you put out and we're talking about the Scorch when we're talking about Piranha. And my number three, because I have ties in these, because the thing is, a lot of these companies are pretty good on their outfitting. So my number three one is the Letman and the RMX, the Liquid Logic and the Letman. I consider those really close together in my opinion.
So I had them ranked all the companies like down the list. I didn't have like one, two, three. So I had, let's see.
What's your number?
So Prana was number 8. 7 is Liquid Logic. Due to when I had the Hot Whip, the RMX is built the same way, just didn't happen like they don't put that foam in between the seat, so like
On
the
the
seat come
sides?
up. Yeah,
Yeah, the seat
it-
blocks, it shifts.
it can come off the track and all that, and just the outfitting in general, I think is kind of,
Dated.
yeah, and
That was my way of saying
uh,
it. It's dated.
uh, but it does work. But yeah, it comes apart kind of easy. It's not, I don't know. It's okay.
Seat's easily adjustable though. The thigh
It
braces
is.
and
It
seat,
is.
they're
Yeah.
easily adjustable.
I guess when I kind of vote on outfitting is, does it stay in place, quality, and is it comfortable? Kind of all three combined. You could break all those three down, but I kind of
Yeah,
take all
sure.
those into account. Next one for me would be Letman.
Okay.
Solid outfitting, but dude, as you know, it's super hard to move.
Yep.
And the thigh hooks, I don't think come out quite far enough to really get a good catch on your thighs. That's my
Okay.
main
I agree with
right
that.
there. So I'm gonna go up to my number three since you're
There,
already at number three. So Varus would be, let's see, one, two, like what, fifth? I thought they did a really good job this year improving the
agreed.
outfitting on the Flux. It's a
I agree.
significant improvement between the Gladiator and Hellbender. The thigh hooks were good. The seat was the out. Everything was pretty
I
solid, and I
I
don't
actually
like.
because I actually have as my number two is I have the Ninja, Flux, and Stoke all as one because I think the Ninja, the Stoke, and the Flux are all really good. Like they're not great, but they're good, and I think they're a tie in my opinion. I thought they all fit and functioned really well.
And you're gonna disagree. My number four was Dagger. Um, And because this is my main sole reason, I
Okay.
take into account kind of the bolts that hold everything together. Those bolts fall
Oof.
out all the
It is a
time.
holy boat. It is definitely
They
holy.
fall out all the time. I do like the outfitting. And the other ding I have on Dagger is that thigh hooks are subpar for a skinny guy like me. Like it doesn't hold my legs very well. So that's my two dings why I have Dagger number four. I think the overall outfitting system itself is very nice and very
Yeah.
good. But again, some of my personal bias and how I fit in boats comes into play. So my number three is Waka.
Yeah.
Just it's simple, it works, it's comfortable. I don't know really what else to say about that.
Yeah.
They fit in there pretty good.
And the seat is it's a little tough to adjust with that side. It has that panel coming down. Remember how long it took us to adjust
Yeah,
it on
to
the
the
side?
seat.
We
Yeah.
were at the Pooter that day, and it took us, I don't know, 45 minutes to adjust that.
I think I think that's boat to boat, unfortunately. That one screw can get a little wonky.
Yeah, you could cross through that insert, and you are on the struggle bus.
But yeah, that's my number three. Just again, taking everything in consideration.
Yeah,
So my number two is the Ninja, the Zet. Everything I think is easy adjustable as long as
yeah.
you can't take the hip pads all the way off because they're threaded weird with that threading. So you got to be careful not to take them all the way off when
It,
you're doing
it's
this.
it's hard to put them back on because I know
But
this.
everything just moves really easy. It's comfortable. It fits really snug. So that's number two for me. What's your number two? Oh, you gave me
Um,
number twos,
I
I guess.
I
So
basically have a three-way tie or a tie for first, and that's Dagger and Jackson. Dagger and Jackson have to me they kind of, but I would agree. I mean, Jackson has the shoestring outfitting on their back band, and then Dagger has ratchets, but their thigh braces are probably their only holdup, as you know. And the one thing I don't like about the thigh braces is I think they need a little more curve, a little more bite on them. And I don't like the fact you have to have two types of wrenches. So you have to have a number four to adjust the seat. You got to have a damn Phillips head screwdriver to adjust the thigh braces. And they are super easy to spin those out because sometimes those bolts, the screws at an angle, and you'll spin the screw out, and you're kind of screwed, literally
yeah, I
screwed.
agree. Yeah.
So Dagger and Perron, I mean Dagger and Jackson are my number one. Jackson just it doesn't hold up as well as Dagger because it's shoestrings going everywhere. But you know what? It works. The bulkhead works. The thigh braces, the cleats work really well. The seat feels great. Seat's one of the easiest adjustable seats on the planet.
Yeah, I have Jackson's number one.
Yeah,
Same reasons. It's super easy to adjust. You want to move the seat, anything. I like the pull up bulkhead. You don't have to cut any foam.
yeah.
It's yeah. I
The
don't
the only thing is with that bulkhead, it does come apart. It will come apart.
cover.
I've seen
Yeah.
people swim, not me personally, but I've watched a guy who swam, and then one piece of bulkhead went that way, one piece went that way, and his boat went that way, and I was like, "That's a bulkhead piece," and it was like the whole plate. The plate just fell out because those plates slide off of a like a injected molded rail. So that could be improved. If I was Jackson, I would have some sort of like safety pin, me personally, but you know,
Yeah, I mean, and now they put the bee's knees in, which they're
that
not.
was that. I thought that
They're,
I actually think that works. Do you? What do
they're
you think?
not like they're not like insane like the hookers, but they do add a little bit, which I mean, a little bit helps. I mean, it does.
If you're getting worked in a hole and you
Yeah,
flip over and getting like chundered and end over end, that little bit might be keep you from falling out of the boat.
I
You
think
know?
really the max, like before it starts to just like bend over, is like an inch you get. But I mean, an inch is better than nothing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
you don't get like the full 3 inches of foam where it looks like because it would just flop over like this. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think including with the boats, it adds a little something so for sure. I love their back bands. I love their seats. Not a fan of the happy seat thing that comes in the play boats. We're talking about creek boats here, so that's
Yeah.
out of the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
some will.
Jackson unanimous number one.
Yeah. I mean, they nailed it on their outfitting. What else we got? So now we'll go on to durability and plastic. This is always a topic because we are talking about creek boats, by the way. So durability and plastic, I think, is probably pretty high on the list, and definitely we could start at the back, kind of the same way. I'll start at my least, what I think is the least, and I'm going to say Liquid Logic is my least. Um,
Same.
in
I've
and
had bad experiences with both boats.
You're
I've
not
had.
the only one, trust me. And it's nothing because a lot of times, because I can tell you, a lot of these companies are using the exact same company and the exact same plastic, but plastic is also made more durable through process. So you could take the same plastic to two different manufacturers and you might cook it a little differently, might cook it a little differently here, add a little more heat here, and you can make that boat bomber or you can make it junk. And I don't know what Liquid Logic was doing. I'm not saying their boats are junk, but I think their plastic was too soft. It might be fixed now, but from what I seen in the boats that from Liquid Logic I paddled, their plastic was very soft and it felt like it was. And then I've seen a lot of them broken. I've seen them break. So Liquid Logic was my least at the bottom of my list. What's at your bottom?
That was the same experience. So Liquid Logic, and the next would be Dagger for me.
Dagger. I put Dagger, and it's hard to tell where Varus is, but I have Dagger as my number two and Varus mixed in there because I think they use the same plastic.
Number two from bottom or number two,
I mean my number it'd be number 8 or 9,
two, three.
and because I've got how many boats do we have? How many boats are we going over?
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I have 8 manufacturers for plastic.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have Soul in there.
Yeah, I threw Soul in there, and only time will tell with that. It's hard to tell. I can only know from what I experienced, and I guess you talking from what you personally experienced. Other people will be all over the map, but I'm sure we'll agree. Number one, me and you will definitely agree on the number one. But yeah, and in my number because I basically had a tie of like Jackson, Varus, and Piranha. I had
Yeah,
them kind of
I think while I have them in order, but they're all very similar. So like
yeah,
Logic was the last, and then Dagger, Jackson, Piranha, I feel like are kind of in the same. They're
yeah.
kind of soft. They're not. I haven't seen a ton of boats crack or anything like that, but they are kind of soft. I know the Nova series. I've seen some people have some issues with that
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Um,
And I actually had Piranha a little above like Dagger and Varus. I had it a little on the top of that, and then my next one up from that is Letman, and then my top two are Waka, and then Zet's definitely by far number one. Like Zet is not only number one, but it's like here number one, where everyone else is like Zet. I mean, Waka's my low number two, and they're like a very substantial number one.
yeah, I have Varus, then Letman, Watkins that so similar, but yeah.
And we're only talking from our experience. Obviously, these companies can sit here and like, oh, these guys don't know what we're talking about. And I threw Soul in there between somewhere around Piranha and Letman. For me, when I felt of the Soul plastic, it felt really good. But one thing that Soul offers that no one else offers is they offer accident protection. So Soul's offering this thing where if you break it, if you got that accident protection, they'll give you 100% free boat. So it's like no matter what it is, it flies off your car, whatever. I mean, it's accident protection. I might be wrong on that, but I did see that going around. So they're the only ones that kind of offer that system. and it's not cheap. It's like you're buying something at Best Buy and you buy a TV and they're like, oh, for $300 extra you can get. And I'm like, I'm good. So it's not cheap, but it is something.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I think both of us have paddled all these brands for a decent period of time, and I'm just going based on what different multiple boats on the same brand over the
mhm.
same rivers, and
Exactly. Yeah.
this is what
This is
happened.
not just one boat, by the way, everybody. This is not one boat we're talking about. Sometimes it's like six boats.
I mean, the five went off of Gorilla backwards and upside down.
Yeah.
It didn't even look like
were you
it
were you
crashed.
in it?
I was
Okay. Well,
still on me.
sometimes that helps and sometimes that hurts.
It hurt
Yeah.
me.
Well, you know what? It worked out. Let's see. Now, what do you so there we go, everybody. We covered durability and plastic because we are talking about creek boats.
Are there any boats you feel like safer in? Any brands? I'm just curious.
Oh,
Yeah,
safety's up.
I didn't write that down. I kind of fit that
Now
into
that you mention
fitting to
it, as
some
far as
extent, but
safety, by far my number one is Dagger. As far as safety, step out pillar, rotomolded tank seat. My number two would be Piranha and Varus. Varus did a pretty good job because they basically copied a lot of Dagger, step out pillar, and all that. Anything with a rotomolded step out pillar that keeps that deck from collapsing, I'm a huge fan of. And Piranha and Dagger both use that. Zet used that. Um, Jackson uses a thermoform piece that's just kind of. I don't trust a thermoform as much as I do. They might argue and say it's way better, but me, from what I've seen, the Dagger boats hold up better than anything as far as the deck crushing on you. Because I mean, if a deck folds on you, you're in big trouble.
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Anything with the rotor uh, step out pillar would
Yeah,
be
probably my lowest on the list as far as safety is the RMX. Yeah,
same. I mean, just a
There's
plastic
nothing. There's
foam.
nothing. It's got not only does it have flexible plastic, but there's nothing holding the bow wall in except these little ridges on top. So imagine if that bow wall folded over, what's going to happen? The boat would fold up, and then
I look into like how the bow was shaped too. For life, me can't understand why people still paddle on RPMs. But anyway,
oh god, yeah, that's a whole other topic for another day. There, no,
stop paddling these boats with skinny bows. It's just a safety thing, especially on creeks.
yeah, you
So
get pinned. You get pinned in that. You cannot get your legs out. Nope.
I forget which one of the list had the thinnest kind of mix code.
What do you mean thinnest bow? I would say the Letman, the THP, pretty small up there.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the bow though. I loved how that bow performed. It was just very flat and low deck.
Even the Ninja to some extent, but it's pretty wide, so it'd be hard to fold
Yeah.
in.
So yeah, I mean, as far as safety, we can just like I'll just say my number one is Dagger and Piranha. They're kind of like tied in there, and then I would say Varus is probably right there with them, and then RMX is dead last, and I would say the Waka's right there with the RMX. I don't like the way the Waka holds their
Pretty
water.
much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really having disagreement there.
Yeah. So there we go. So we just covered. Well, that was already three topics. See, we're knocking these things out. Maybe we might get it down to 4 episodes then
Yeah, maybe.
two. Let's see. What do you want to talk about next? You want to go on into like big water?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why
So
not?
so we both paddled all of these boats, and obviously might not have paddled on this to King. I get people. They'll come to my reviews and they'll be like, I don't. I'd like to see you try this somewhere else. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, you do what you can. You
Well, the 95% of the people who boat don't paddle that stuff, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So when we're talking big water, we paddled some big water out in Colorado, and big water is always subjective to a lot of people. Some people might think Stikine is big water, and then some people might think Nolichucky's big water. It's
Well,
subjective.
even
I
when I
get
do
it.
this list, though, I'm thinking like if you did take that boat out there, how it would do. So that
Exactly.
at least
And
my list.
I could usually tell, and you can too. You could tell how a boat's going to perform. It don't have to be class 5 burly. I can get in a boat now, and I'll be like, "Oh, I know where this thing's going to be great." And then I get in a boat, and I said, "I know where this would be terrible." so, so yeah, let's go on into big water. Man, going into big water, I'll start with my least favorite. What I think would not be desirable in big water, and that is going to be the Varus Flux. And let me just kind of expand on that a little bit. The Varus Flux has a very wide, kind of bulbous tail on it. and it's low rockered in the bow. And so what that does, I couldn't. So that means you've eliminated my ability to tail load and lift my boat up and get over a big hole. So now I'm back down to piercing, and that volume in the back is actually pushing the front down more. And it's a little boxy back there, and it gets shoved around. So in big water, that's going to really be catchy, and I could see that being a struggle to get out of a big, humongous hole. And that's what I had as my last one. And that's the only reason I did that as the last, is just because it was more the way they designed it. But it does do well in other ways when we
Yeah,
get
I
to the
think
creek.
I think me and you will differ on some of these because the just the weight difference and like
Yeah.
some paddling style differences as well. So
Well, I hope we differ on them. I don't want to. I
yeah.
don't want to just agree with everything.
No, no, for sure. No, my last one is the code. Um,
Well,
I think
I'm getting into that, but go
I
ahead.
think it's the softest of pretty much all the new Creekers we're talking about. Not, and let me make this clear too. Any of these boats we're talking about, all these new Creek boats, I don't think you can really pick one of them and any of them be horrible. They're none of them are horrible boats. It's just
For sure.
the market's so good right now. Like it's really hard to rank any of these to be
They're
honest.
all really good. By
So
today's standards, you could take any of these boats that we've got on this list and take them back 5 years ago, and they'd be the best boat on the
yeah,
market.
so I don't want any company or people to be like, oh my God. Anyway, they got to rank somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, Code's my last one just because I feel like it's more of like a softer boat
Yep.
and not a lot of speed to it. Now, of course, Isaac takes it on everything, so whatever. But for me, that's what I would have last.
Yeah, and the reason I put the code is my second to last. So I've got the flux at the last, the code is the second one. And the reason the code is over that is because it is beautifully rockered on the ends, and it just blasts over holes. It gets shoved around, but man, it takes a lot to stop that boat. What I do love about the code is it will just blast through everything and almost unstoppable. Now it does have the rails are lifted, so it can't carve around the river. It just kind of gets shoved around. But man, as far as getting out of holes and blast, well, once you get in a hole, it's probably going to be tough because you don't really have a rail to grab and carve out of a hole. You just get in a forever bouncing side circle. But I had the code as my next one up because I would agree with you that I think it's a little sluggish as far as a big water boat. And the prototype that I paddled was phenomenal. And it was a little edgier. But what they did, they lifted the edges about that high from the bottom where the chine comes out. It's kind of like a little too high to me. And that's what made I think that made the medium cold sluggish, but the small and large are a little more edgier and a little more like performance oriented in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I've actually paddled all three of them: small, medium, and large.
Yeah, I think yeah, for me when I'm thinking of big water, what I want to be able to do is carve and
Yeah, I would
just
agree.
move fast rather than punch holes. So I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Um, Not to say any of these are terrible at all, like again at any of them, but
No,
so my next one up, I guess, would be number what how many we got nine? I got nine, I think. Four, five, six,
should
seven,
be
eight,
like
nine.
8 or
Yeah.
9.
So this would be number seven, would be the flux. Basically for the same reasons you said. The thing I worry about in big water is getting caught in a hole with that with the
Ooh,
box.
it's,
It's like a box on the edges, and you would get
oh,
demolished probably.
yeah, it's
I will say the flux is fast and nimble for me, and I like that, and I can tail load it pretty well for my size. So
hmm
I did like those qualities of the flux.
yeah. What do you have as your next one?
THP, the horny potato.
Do you
Uh,
have the NAR? Are we talking about the
Oh,
NAR?
I missed. Yeah, sorry, I went up one. So nine is a code, eight is a Nirvana for me. Sorry.
Yeah,
So the
because I had the
flux,
code and NAR as a tie.
sorry. So the flux beat out the yeah. Nirvana for me is very sluggish, very unforgiving on the rails. It does not carve well at all. I think if you're going in a direct straight line, it would be fine.
Yeah,
And
same way with the code. Same
you're
way.
seeing Dane and all the Jackson Powellers style everything. I get it, but to the average Powder, I think still it would be tough on some big water. It wouldn't be my favorite boat.
Yeah, I felt the NAR is a little unbalanced and it rides kind of like on its tail. And it's really good at doing that. And that was how they have that directional change, which is good. But I don't like that feeling, and I don't feel it kind of carves up. I don't know. I didn't particularly like that boat that much, and I have it tied with the code and NAR as my least favorite. It's got Flux and then code and NAR I have as a tie, and then my next one up from that is the THP and the remix I have as a tie. So I have the remix and the THP both coming together. I feel they're kind of the same but different, but they're very kind of similar in my opinion. By the
Yeah, the THP and Flux are a lot similar I don't know. I have them together a lot, I think, for some reason. I don't know
way.
why.
Okay.
I think it's because they're
I
quick.
love the bow on the THP, but I do
They're
not like
quick
the
and
bow on it.
both of them are kind of quick and
They are
nimble,
very, yeah,
but
I
they
agree
have
with
that
that.
weird, really hard edge.
They're
Um,
different.
that scares me if you get in a hole.
Yep.
The THP though, man, that thing is a boofing machine. We'll get to that with creaking, but
Yes.
even with big water, you can lean back on that stern and just get a massive boost stroke.
Those cutouts on the stern allow you to load it. I felt I could load that. I could load those cutouts on that horny potato, and I would lift it up, and it has this wide, flat bow that just beautifully just takes
But
off with you.
the scary thing is though, the sides are like razor thin. Like
Woo.
when you get past the potato middle,
Well, and they're a little boxy too. They're a little
yeah,
boxed off,
so like if
kind of
they
like
get
your chili. You know, they still have that kind of boxy feel to them. And you get in a hole with a THP, you will become the horny. You'll become a wet potato. That's
that's
probably
right, a soggy potato.
yeah. You'll be a lost potato.
So number five for me is I know we're a little different here too. Number five is the Stoke. Um, and I
Okay.
took Colorado and it was on some big water. This I think it's more of my weight than it is me not necessarily liking the boat to what it's meant
Yeah.
for. Even with the seat move back, when I hit those big wave holes, it would literally just punch me in the chest and totally stop the boat. And I did not like that at all. And it did get pushed around on the bow some.
Yeah,
It's
just just so everybody
for me it's a
knows,
wide
we
boat for
did move the seat back. Just so everybody knows, we did move the seat back. I felt it definitely paddled better in the back seat. You
all
know,
walkers, yeah. When I moved that other the puffy
the
it transformed too, but
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Just for me, it's walk-up boats are a little wide for me. Again, some of this is personal preference, where other people might disagree. But
yeah.
and like I said, when it hit those wave holes, it just stopped the boat, and I did not like how because the bow is super flat right there, and there's not a lot of displacement area for the water to kind of go left or right of the bow.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually had the Stoke and the Hammer. So I have the Stoke and the Soul Hammer as a tie also. For what is that the number? I've got them because I've been tying a lot of them
doing
because
too many
some of
ties.
yeah, I think I'm on like uh, we're going in order, but the Stoke and the Hammer I feel are the Hammer was surprisingly like very good on cross currents and moving around the river. The rails, it has like this bi-level chine on it. Corin does this where it comes out and then it goes up and then it's out, then it's up, then it's out, and it gives you this ability. It's stable, but it gives you this ability to carve when you need to. And I felt the Stoke was good at getting around big water. Moving around like that. When you need those edges, you can move around. And
Now I
then the
think
next one up from that is the Ninja. I thought the Ninja was pretty good because it doesn't have a good rail on it, in my opinion, but you utilize the tail to move it around. And I really liked how that boat paddled of locking the tail in. The rail's missing from about the knees up. It's very soft. But if you stay back seat with that knee, if I was in big water, I'd almost want to move the seat back a little bit, honestly.
yeah. My next one, so number four, I guess would be the RMX. I think you can get up to speed really well. You can still utilize the tail of the booth.
Yeah.
It does want to dive on you in big holes. I will say it's a negative, but
It
I
doesn't
kind
have
of
a high bow rocker.
yeah, I kind of just like how it can be pretty speedy on big water though.
The edges are not grabby, but they're there when you need them. But you're right. I love the speed of the RMX because I feel if I get that thing up to speed, I feel I can go through anything.
And that's four. Number three for me is the Flow.
Yep.
New Jackson Flow. Now I will say this is the one I've had the least experience in, but after paddling tons of boats, you just kind of know. Um, but
Yeah,
I felt like
contrary to people's
it's a
belief.
it's a medium, and for me, it fit really well. It felt really good at the Whitewater Center. I had to say it.
Hmm.
Definitely one of the better Jackson boats, and
I think
it's
it's the best
it's
ever
nimble,
Jackson boat.
agile. It felt like it could boof well. I was like just holding my hands up going through the bigger stuff there, which isn't that big, but like M wave,
Yeah,
big
but you could tell. I could tell
shit,
that that thing
length
would
and
be
stuff
a
easy.
beast on big water.
Um,
It's more balanced than the Gnar was. The Gnar was a little soft and it went kind of crazy with me in the stern, where that was like balanced out beautifully. I
yeah,
had that as my
I felt like I could go through a whole like all the way on edge, like sideways,
easily. Yeah,
just
I
where the
had the
Gnar.
Flow as my number two and the Scorch is my number one.
So my
I
number, yeah, my
I
number
still
two
think
is
the Scorch
Ninja.
is still holding in there.
My number two is Ninja. Love that boat. I think,
Yeah,
gosh,
you
I wish
got a
we had it in
basement full of
Colorado.
them.
No, only one, two. Number one is still Scorch. Now, I will say for my size, the Scorch doesn't work out well because the medium's a little big, small's a little small. But as far as the overall boat for everybody, you cannot beat a Scorch bow or the Scorch X bow. If you're in big water and take a big boost stroke, I mean, it's going over any
Yeah.
hole just about.
Yeah, well, so there you
Um,
go. So Scorch and Flow are right up there as our top big water boats for everybody. And then my least favorite is the Flux. And Matt,
Code
what did you?
Nirvana.
Yours
Yeah,
is the
Code Nirvana.
Gnar. I have the Gnar and Code as really close though. They're very close, so we're not off on these because
No,
I,
not totally. Yeah,
I
no,
could
I
easily swap these out at any time. By the way, yeah. So there it is. That's the
like to hear everybody's thoughts on this as we're, when we
Yeah,
get
and you know
to
what?
this
Everybody
question.
can comment below if they disagree because that's what I love it. I mean, we can't all agree on everything about that. Now let's talk about creek boating. Yeah, so let's talk. I know. Let's. So a creeker. So creek boating would be. What would you think? Like West
To
Fork of the
me,
Tuck,
to me, creek
Mankey,
boating is technical, manky. Got to make some hard moves.
last minute eddies,
That
tight micro eddies,
creaking to me is not like
a lot of
a
flare boosts
chinoa or something. That's
coming
not.
off of rocks like that, doing those flare boosts and rock boosts. That
Got to
because
be
to me,
nimble. Got to be nimble, agile, soft a little bit. That kind
yep.
of thing. So
Yeah, so we'll talk about some creekers. So talking about the creek. So my lowest on the list as far as like my creek boats. And this man, and this could change obviously with the flow. It's hard, figuratively speaking with the flow. The Scorch and the THP and the NAR all were not really to me suited for technical creaking. Now that's not saying you can't make them work because you can obviously make anything work anywhere. And creaking's a little different than big water because big water you kind of mandatory need a rail to move around. But I think you can get away with people paddle full slices down class 5 creeks and you can make it work. And I think I could be a little better in like an edgy boat on a creek where a soft boat in big water just pisses me off. I would just be aggravated. If I was in a tub, a soft boat on big water, I just do not want to be there. But if you gave me an edgy boat, a very sharp rail on a creek, if that makes any sense, does that make any sense? What I'm
no, for sure. I mean, I think my test usually is going down like the slides on the green. If you have a very sharp, edgy boat, it really affects the boat there. Where if you're in like a code, it just kind of,
yeah, yeah,
like being in a log flume going straight down there.
yeah. Yeah, so if we're talking about rock booths and all that, so I have like a tie as far as the Scorch, the THP, the NAR. I have those kind of like as my tie up there because the NAR, I cannot figure out where to fit that boat in. By the way, I don't even like mention it in the same breath with the Scorch. It just pisses me off if I have to ever say those two at the same time. But I don't know where to put that boat. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. I don't even want to talk about the Nor anymore. But anyway, what do you got on your
So
last?
my least favorite is Nirvana.
Okay,
Uh, I mean, I took it on, what was it, Pigeon Drive. Did not like it at
I
all.
remember that day.
Uh, did not like it. Walked off some rapids.
Just,
Rarity for me, to be honest.
I know I
So
paddled it that same day too.
Nirvana, the Flux, obviously the boxy edges and stuff just are
Mm.
not good for creaking. THP for the same reason, so that'd be 7,
Yeah,
and then the Scorch. So they're kind of my least 4 there.
yeah, kind of
All
all
because of
together.
the similar reasons. The
Yeah,
hard.
and I threw in the Flux and the Stoke are kind of right there with those that I just mentioned too. So I would agree that the Flux and Stoke kind of fall right in that category. And then my onto my favorite ones is by far the number one is the Code. The Code is my favorite boat for Mankey Creeks and creek boating. That thing is absolutely phenomenal for that. And then the RMX is my second because it seems to do everywhere. The drawback to the RMX is its length. Getting around tight creeks, it's a little too much to push around. And I think that Soul Hammer is right up there with them. That Soul Hammer is very small and quick and zippy, but the rails are out of the water. So it's Code, RMX, Hammer, and then the Ninja and what did I say? The Ninja is right below those. So I have those three, and then the Ninja down below that.
Yeah, so we're pretty similar. So I'll do the same thing you did. So number one is Code. Absolutely. If you're looking for a softer, forgiving boat that you could take down pretty much any creek and give you time to maneuver and look downstream, the Code is the best. No, hands down. The next one for me would be the Flow. Even though I haven't taken down the green or anything, I
Did
can
I
just
mention the Flow? I don't think I did. I think
I,
I have the Flow right in there with the Ninja. I think
yeah,
it's
okay.
just because it's got a little harder rail on it, but
It does have a hard rail, but I feel like it's a little soft too. I don't know how to explain that, but for
they
me,
did a good job on that, man. They did a really good job.
I like the shorter length of it too for
Yep.
creeking. Just more agile and easier to move around. So number 3 would be the Stoke. I think for the big ledge holes and stuff, Stoke is a great boat. 4 is RMX. For me, it's just I don't know the it's a little narrow in the bow
Yeah.
sometimes. It can plug some piton, that kind of thing. So I just had a number 4. Number 5, the Ninja. You know, stern. I think the manufacturers are probably leaning this way to going a little less bow rocker and having a little stern, but still full creaking from what I'm considering. You probably still don't want a stern back there necessarily.
No.
So the Ninja's number 5. But yeah. So I mean, I think all those are pretty good creek boats though. But yeah, the Code is again like here compared to everything
Yeah,
else.
it really is. It's
And
so
it's safe too. I mean, you got plenty of leg room to get out. You got the step out pillar.
it's yeah, that yeah, they nailed it on that, that's for sure.
That's
All
gonna be a
right, well,
for
there we go.
another
We
like
covered big water. We covered creeking. We'll kind of like touch on this. I get it. We're talking about creek boats, but playability, just like
yeah.
play. We'll kind of touch on it. And what we mean by play is like front surfing, spins, things like that,
Box
loops if you can
spins.
do
Yeah.
them. But really, it's kind of like
Even
that's
fun carving, like catching eddies, carving back and forth.
blast ferries, attainments, and things like that. More that's what we're considering more as far as like play because we are talking about creek boating. For me, the lowest on the list would be the RMX and the Code and the GNAR. Those are really low on my list as far as playability. And I know I'm ranking a lot of things the same because there's all to me they kind of start meshing together. I feel that they're all kind of like in that same category.
Well,
But those are my bottom
they're
three.
either kind of softer or they're sharper. I mean, so yeah, they kind of all similar fall together. So
Yeah.
yeah, my least I have the Nirvana last,
Yeah.
Code, Stoke, and then RMX. So those
Oh,
4.
you threw the Stoke in there.
That's
Interesting.
I didn't find that very play. It's very for my size, very wide, very
Yeah.
wide. There's no way I could loop it. There's 360 spins are tough. It is shorter, but I didn't find it that playful.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can
I know
see that.
there's
Yeah.
I know there's plenty of people who would disagree with me there, but anyway.
Well, when they paddle all the boats we have, then they can come back and talk to us. They can't just paddle one. You know those people. It's like, I love this boat. It's the best boat ever. Then you're like, what else you paddled? They're like, well, I haven't paddled anything. Oh, okay. I'm like,
But it's
well,
better. It's
well,
better.
we have. Well, we have. We've paddled them all. So
The
yeah.
Vulcan paddle grip. That grip is terrible. Have you even held in your hands? No. Oh,
No, but I looked at it and I don't like it. Oh, okay. You're one of these guys. All right. But as far as my second up on the list, I have the Flux and the Code. But the Code, RMX, the GNAR, the Flux, kind of all to me are in that same category. As far as my lowest on the list, for playability, getting around the river. 360s and things like that's what I mean by play. I don't mean like zippiness around the river.
I had kind of in the middle for me. So
Yeah,
middle for me would
zippers.
be Ninja, Scorch, THP, like kind of on the same middle area. Um,
Yeah, I, man,
and again, a lot of this comes down. I think a difference for us is sizing, and
that's true because the
you know,
Ninja is my number two. I
yeah.
love the Ninja as far as like tail
I can't
loads.
I can't throw it around on the tail. That I could get it vertical, but dude, it had been like a massive kind of wave eddy line.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the number one for me because I had the Flow right up there as my number two. The Ninja and Flow, and they're good for different reasons, but the Flow and the Soul Hammer. The Soul Hammer is such a good creek boat player. I'm telling you, it's the most underrated creek boat out there today. And I don't want to sound like a soul little fanboy over here, but I'm telling you, the Soul Hammer was the most playful kind of creeker I had paddled. And I think we're going to start seeing more in that direction. We kind of see it with the Flow. That 8'5". I think the Hammer comes in. Let's pull that up. I think, and just kind of like show a
I
lot of
don't know
people.
much about the hammer at all. I had to
And
say
we'll
it.
kind of like look at it here.
Wait,
Let's.
see 7 computers he's working on.
That is true. Let's try that.
There we go. Yeah.
I shared the wrong
Ooh,
screen.
baby, 1800. Jeez.
We'll get on the price here in a minute, by the way, everybody. He has some of the coolest colors. If you look at these
They are.
colors,
Cool.
um, there's some of the colors
I
of
like the
it.
names of them. The White Knights.
The blossom. And what does he have as far as 8'1"?
Jeez, yeah.
So it's 8'1" and it's wide. It's a
Like
wide
the
boat. It's 27
Nano.
inches, 82 gallons of volume. Front rocker, you can see 14, which is a lot of rocker in a boat that short if you think about it. Nose
I like
rocker.
these two categories he's got at the end. Sane creaking and insane.
Yeah. So what they put was at the end it says sane creaking paddler weight 140 to 250, and then insane creek paddler weight 140 to 200. I think that's actually pretty fair. It's not a small boat by any means. But here's the only real shape of it. And by the way, these are drawings. Um, but you can see the overall shape of it, man. It's not a bad boat at all. And what's missing on this drawing is a bunch of little dimples that shed the water very cleanly, and the water comes up and it hits this and goes down. I really like how that functioned. That worked better than I thought. And by the way, there's a wheel that comes with it. You don't see it, but you can get your own little wheel and wheel it around.
Interesting.
There it is. I don't know if you
Oh, I
can see it.
see.
The transport wheel. You can order it with or without that, by the way. Yeah. So there's the Soul Hammer. I paddled it, man, and I liked it. I thought it was a good all around boat. I mean, big water and playing, yeah. Creaking, it's in the middle of the pack for me. But it's my number one, and the Flow's right there with it. Number one's Hammer, Flow, and then the Ninja's like right there, number three, two ish, three, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I had the THP is 3, Flux is 2, Flow is 1.
I
Dude,
would I would not disagree with that.
the Flow was insanely good on like 316 waves
It
and
was,
rocks.
wasn't
Gosh, man,
it?
it felt
Hey,
so good at the Whitewater Center.
dude, I probably caught 10 360s in that. Just like no paddle 360s, just one handed. Just it's that good of a boat as far as twirling around.
Yeah, the hole on that is superb for playing, but it felt really like a playboating hole almost. I mean, and it looks like one to an extent. So
Yeah, so someone that's buying a creek boat for playfulness, say I'm like, oh, I like to play and kind of river run. I say, man, you can't go wrong with like the Hammer, the Flow, and the Ninja, and just that kind of whippy. And the Ninja's just different. And you're right because the Ninja, the weight range is going to matter on that. If you're 160 to 220, the Ninja is going to be awesome for you because you're going to be able to really tail load that thing and whip it around and spin it almost like a slalom boat.
yeah, that's where I have to go back down to the chili for that.
Yeah, and so if anybody needs to buy a Ninja, by the way, hit up Matt. He's got 40 of them. Well, he's got one Ninja, but he's got 40 Zet boats. By the way, we forgot to mention Matt's a Zet dealer now.
No, warehouse holder.
He's a warehouse holder. He's got a house full of them. Yeah, yeah. So man, there we go. So we covered creaking. We covered play. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about price. You brought up you've seen the hammer price. By the way, it's number one. The hammer's $1,800,
Not
and
including like the best outfitting probably. That's as
yeah,
you can choose.
the Ninja comes in at 15.99. The Scorch comes in at 16.99. What else? The code I think is 15.99.
I think it's right at 1600. Jackson's I think it's 15.99.
Yeah, it looks like the Magic sweet spot is 1600.
What's
Uh,
the Max? Aren't the Liquid Logic a little less?
yeah, they got it at 13.99. It's the cheapest boat on the list.
It is.
And the thing is, you can get this at their store, so you can go to the factory and pick that up and save some money by doing that, instead of shipping it or all that. But 13.99 is the cheapest, and 1,800 is the most expensive. But honestly, man, it looks like so between 1,400 and 1,800 is going to be what you're expecting on a whitewater boat nowadays.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't think for most people, I wouldn't. I would just get what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple $100.
Well, now we got to go to what everybody wants to know. The only thing we got left. What's the best beginner boat? I'm a beginner. Matt, what do I need to get? I don't know what to get. Tell me what I need. What do you
So
think?
this is a tough list too because the answer to that question is it depends. I have a list. I have a list, obviously, but
I
uh,
have a list too.
for the overall. But yeah, I mean, it could depend on what kind of paddler you intentionally want to be in the end. And so, with that being said, like if you're going to be if you plan on really getting into kayaking, I would say not get a creek boat for a beginner. But
That's a whole other topic
that's
that
a
we
whole
could
other
do it.
topic. But anyway, yeah. So, all right, let's start at the bottom for me. So, I have to go with the Flux, least beginner friendly.
Okay.
It's pretty stable, but the box sidewalls would destroy a beginner. I mean, there's no way.
I'm gonna agree with that. My least as far as a beginner boat. They might not like to admit it, but it is not a good beginner boat, and that's okay. It's a boat that challenges your paddling ability, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's not good. Because a lot of boats that could be in that category of like not good for beginners. And if a beginner asked me, there's like, hey, I'm going to pick up a Flux, I'd say actually I would not recommend that as a first choice.
Yeah, I mean, if you get stuck in a hole, you're done as a beginner. It's gonna be tough to kind of learn the edges on it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't think you would enjoy the boat right away either. It's a boat you kind of have to learn and master. And again, that's not a bad thing or a hit on that. It's just,
Because a really good paddler can make that boat look amazing.
and but like I said, if you're someone who you think will learn, it could be a good beginner boat in the aspect of if you want to progress quickly and
But
you're
once
into the
again,
sport.
then we wouldn't be telling those
Yeah,
people to
but
do
then I would just say, yeah, whatever. Anyway, no, so number eight, it's kind of the same category, the THP, same
Yep.
because of the
I
same
have the
reason.
THP and the Ninja kind of
Yeah,
tied.
Ninja, man, I love the Ninja, but
I,
it is not a beginner boat. It's
I
down there at number seven.
Yeah, THP and Ninja. I have them tied in there. That's a boat that you're gonna be punished. You're definitely gonna be punished with that boat.
The thing about the Ninja, it has that like OG 9R feel. You gotta know where you're going.
Yeah,
The bow can get away from you because you got the planing hole up until the bow where it softens up in its displacement, basically.
yeah,
So it's a little bit different, unique design. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that for beginner. Um, THP, the same reason, sharp sidewalls. It will punish you if you're not paddling it.
yeah.
Uh,
And then going up from there, I have the man. It's like it's this is a tough one for me because I want to say the Stoke and Scorch are kind of in the same category. The Stoke, Scorch, Gnar, kind of all in the same. It's like I I would put the Scorch as a little higher on the list, but I would say the Gnar and the Stoke are a little lower for me.
so my six would be Stoke. Seven, I mean five, Nirvana, and they're pretty even, those two for me.
Yeah.
I think they're both kind of just weird. I don't know how to say that. Weird designs in some aspect.
Yeah, they do
Don't
some
do.
things really well, and they do well.
Yeah,
The
I don't
Stoke
know.
is a little better than the Gnar, in my opinion.
I think so too. Even though I have the Stoke below the Nirvana, but I don't know. Yeah, those two are kind of in la la land for
Well,
me.
just we'll just
I'm
go
sorry.
on because my top boats, if a beginner, I say the Code and Flow and RMX. I say Code number one, Flow's right there. It could be the number one also. The Code and Flow I almost have as a tie as number one, and then I have the RMX and the Hammer as like number three ish, if that makes sense. The Hammer a little below the RMX. But I would say because, like I said, with that Soul Hammer, to me, outside playing, it hit this area where it did everything really good right in the center right there. It did not like, oh wow, that's a great big water boat. Oh wow, that's a great creek boat. But you know what? It's damn good right in there in the middle. And then, but it's playboating. It's way up here. If we're talking about strictly beginner boats, I say go Flow and Code and RMX. Those three you'll be fine in for
Yeah,
learning basic.
I had number four Scorch, three RMX, two Flow, one Code, and I think the Code and Flow are like you said, they're tied. Like if you don't want a little more playability and less forgiveness, go with the Flow. If you want
Yeah.
just total forgiveness and take care of you, go with the Code. And then the RMX, I would say if you want to like a kind of a narrower feeling boat, smaller
Speed.
feeling
Yeah.
boat, and a little bit of speed, go with that one. But I agree, all three of those as beginners.
Yeah, so we kind of agree on that the Code the Flow RMX are kind of like to me money for beginners. That's the beginner's paradise. And then I could
The flow would be a good one though, because you as you progress, that one could definitely be like. I do think that's one where honestly anybody could paddle and have fun.
I know it sounds I know it kind of it goes into their hype machine where
I does, but it's true. I had to say it. I'm not. I mean,
I know because it goes into Jackson's hype machine. It really is a good beginner's boat to an expert. You know you could put a day one Natahala beginner like just starting out and have them put them and take them down the nanny first day ever on the water, and then Dane Jackson. It's like there's that's that type of boat that's that good. It's that good. The Scorch is kind of that way to me too. The Scorch is a decent beginner boat. It's not as good as the Flow. I would recommend a Flow over the Scorch as far as a beginner. And it's just because the Scorch has a little edgier in that tail where they've softened their tail off a little bit. You notice how the rails on that. Let's pull that up because you notice how that the rails. Let me share this for you. Let's pull this up and let you look at it real quick. Can you see it there?
you haven't shared it with me yet. There we go
Look at how they've stopped the rails right here.
on the stern. Yeah,
Yeah, if you look, they kind of like stopped them right there.
I haven't actually done my review yet, so I haven't like.
And look at that. You
Really
see what they've done with their rails? That rail runs right here. And then it gets there's still a rail there, but it's soft. And that's such a great profile as far as a creek boat, in my opinion. And then you look at the where's the Scorch? You look at the Scorch. I don't think I have a hull shot. They don't have a hull on theirs. You notice that? Yeah, I can't show you the hull of the Scorch. Um, but you can see that side profile. You can see it's similar to the Flow.
it's just sharper. I mean,
It's
just a little bit.
sharper, and
Yeah.
that's why I rate the Flow over the Scorch as far as like a more beginner boat.
Do you
Anything else you
wanna,
want to add on the beginner boat?
no, no beginner. I mean,
And you know what? And now that we're back on outfitting, the Dagger and the Jackson are a beginner's dream, right? They're
there you
outfitting.
go. Yeah.
It's like a beginner can seriously take it from the showroom floor to the water and paddle off.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and I don't
Definitely,
have to explain on.
definitely cannot do that in Piranha. Got a lot of cutting involved. Piranha's my least favorite boat to even fool with because you got to cut
Yeah,
the.
you got to put the bulkhead foam in. Everything's just ready. So yeah, there's all that. Okay, so we got the beginner boat. So everybody, we you know some might agree, some might disagree, but I think that's a pretty good beginners list as far as beginner boats, right?
I think so.
And this kind of overlaps a little bit of our last Creek River Runner podcast, but we've added these newer additions to it just so
Yeah,
everybody
taking
knows.
some out, added some, yeah.
I mean, because we had the Code as a good beginner boat in the last one, but now the Flow's right up there with it too. Yeah, our last thing on the list that we can go over is advanced to expert. So
Well,
if you're
I got
like,
two more lists. I got intermediate, expert, and then personal list.
oh, I mean, well, outside of our personal,
Okay.
yeah, intermediate, advanced, expert, I would say that's all one. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. And for me, I'm just going to hit on this quick because obviously this could vary by
Oh, this
person by
can be thrown out, yeah.
because me, I mean, to me, and the least on my list as far as a like an advanced or an intermediate type boater, and we're talking about enjoyment. I'm not saying you can't make it work. I'm talking about your average paddler that's maybe been running the ship for a while and really got his skills dialed in, and him or her just really kind of looks smooth on the river. What would I recommend? I mean, they probably wouldn't be reaching out for me or you with recommendations if they're at that point. But it's like the Code and GNAR are actually on the lot is on the bottom of my list. The Code and GNAR,
Yeah,
and that goes back to our softness of them. I don't
I
think
have. Yeah.
a really good paddler will like missing those edge. I know all the Team Dagger guys might blah, 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 Toad and and Isaac and I just don't know how to paddle. Well, okay, that's fine, but it's like I'm telling you that boat is soft, and I think as far as an expert, um, those guys should be in something a little more edgier.
Yeah, I have the Nirvana, Code, Flux as my last three.
Yeah, the Flux is my on top of those. I actually put the Flux above those because it challenges the paddler a little more. Those boxy sidewalls we talked about made it a little zippier, a little edgier around the river, but it still gets shoved around in the tail. And I think that one went a little higher. And
Oh,
then
that's seven for me. Yeah, I had the other Nirvana was last, then Code, then Flux.
yeah,
So
that I've actually got that same on my list too. It's like I got NAR as last, Code, and then Flux.
yeah, the same exact.
Yeah, but it's funny because, and for everybody who knows, me and Matt did not call each other and work these out. We're working them out right here on the spot. We kind of just talked about criterias, and I just basically put down what I thought, and it just seems to work out that way. I didn't even look at his list or anything. He sent them, but I was like, I didn't even look at the boats. I was like, I just wanted the criterias of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so NAR code Flux, and then going up from that, I'm gonna put the Hammer RMX kind of tied in there too, as far as like that. And then we're talking intermediate to expert, and then yeah, that what do you got in there? Your next
I
one?
had six would be Stoke for me, five RMX. Those are kind of in the middle. So Stoke and then RMX.
Okay, yeah, I
Um,
have the Flow and Stoke tied as far as like a great, but I mean expert to intermediate to really good paddler. I think the Flow.
four to me. So I think the Flow RMX and Stoke are pretty much same area for me. So the Flow is
Exactly.
number
I
four.
would. I put the RMX a little below that. I would disagree and put the RMX a little lower than the Flow and Stoke. I think they're just a little more like I think they challenge you because of their length and getting around the river. Um, as far as like that intermediate paddler, I think the RMX is still more towards a beginner. And then the top boats, if I'm saying you're an expert or you're a really good paddler, I'm like, I got three. I got the Ninja, the THP, and the Scorch.
Same.
I have them
Ninja
all.
Ninja one
He's
for
got Ninja as number one because he's selling a bunch of boats.
Scorch. No, not true. Ninja number one, Scorch number two, and THP number three. But I enjoy all three of those for different reasons.
I do
So,
too. You
dude,
could
I'm
give me,
telling you,
I
the
know.
most we haven't talked about this. The most underrated boat for 2023 is the horny potato.
I would not disagree with that. It went so under the radar. Um, big shout out to Splatipus Imports. They kind of hooked us up with those, and I'm telling you, there's something about it. The
When I
Letman horny potato, man.
so yeah, I mean basically what we're saying if you missed any of that is the horny potato is underrated because like once you see you're like, man, this thing's like yeah. But it's
Oh man,
a fun
the
boat, man.
The horny potato, I would agree. So what Matt was talking about before something happened there, we had a little glitch in the matrix, and what we were talking about was the horny potato was probably one of the most underrated boats of 2023. And big shout out to the guys at Splatipus, because Splatipus Imports is where, if you're interested in one of these, I'm telling you that boat was really fun to paddle, but it challenges you. It is not it's and the more you paddle it, the more you start figuring it out. Would you agree with that?
No, yeah, I had it on the chill for like the first 10 minutes. I was like, this boat sucks. And then I was like, man, this actually, no, it doesn't. Like, the more I paddled, I was like, man, I kind of want one.
I know.
A lot of boats. No, it was fun. It's very zippy. And I had to say, it's probably my top boofing boat. It may not boof the best, it boofs the funnest, if that
Yeah, there's
makes,
something about it, man.
I don't
It's
know.
they boost fat. Like you don't need many strokes. It's almost like you come up and it's got these cutouts, and I can kind of like preload that cutout and get the bow to boop, right up like that. I
Plus,
love
everybody
that.
everybody talks about it because it's a horny potato. And then if your friends throw potatoes at you while you're paddling it, I mean, you can't get better than
Yeah, everybody loves potatoes and French fries.
that.
Um,
And then obviously, then like we are saying, the Ninja is my top one just because it's so smooth going across river, and it's just a good all
it's
around boat.
polished. If I had one word for the Ninja, I'd say it's polished. Hansa designed that. He put a you could feel like when you're paddling a boat like that, I can tell when someone spent time on the design and really thought it out. It's like it's really smooth. It's a
It's
very
amazing,
smooth running
and
boat.
that's probably another underrated boat. Not a lot of people are really trying it out. Not really people talking about it, but
Well,
it's
the
not.
Scorch isn't underrated.
No, the Scorch is still out there and doing well.
No, the Scorch still hanging hard in there. It's like that boat's really good. Um,
Nailed it. Best
yeah, they
product design since the Rev.
yeah, man. I mean, telling you that boat
That's a
is
joke, by the way.
yeah, the Piranha Rev. I remember that boat. I didn't have one. You probably had one, didn't you?
I did. I bought one and sold it immediately. Sorry. Off the top.
Yeah. So there it is, everybody. That's it. That's all of our anything else you want to add? I guess we got the as far as our criteria is we'll break down our personal favorites.
Yeah.
Um and I'm just going to go ahead and get into it, and I'm just going to like quick hit them. Um I'm going to say my least favorite. It's a tie between the Narvana. Well, the Narvana. I'm not going to say it's a tie. I'm going to say the Narvana is my least favorite boat by far. Boat. I'm and that no
I'm
knock
gonna
on
let you
everybody
go
out there that
through.
loves it.
I won't let you go through your list and I'll go through mine. How about that?
Yeah, and then number two. I mean, going up from that, I'm going to say the Flux. And but I can make that. I take that boat all day long over the Nar, by the way, because it's zippy. It gets around the river a little better. And then, man, that's where now we're getting in that weird category. Um, and it's hard to say this because the question I is like I'd ask, where are we going? Where are we paddling? So it's like, oh, I can't say I love the Stoke or something like that, and then oh, we're gonna be doing Manky Creeks. I'm like, well, I kind of would rather have a code. It's like, but my number one boat still today is the Scorch. Nothing's take the Scorch off of my list, but right there at number two would be the Flow. The Flow and Scorch are two of the best kayaks out, and this is personal opinion. The Scorch and Flow are two of the best kayaks out today. And then your number three would be, the sleepers. THP, Ninja, and Hammer, I can say, are just kind of like mixed in there. For me, this is my personal list. And then it'd be the Stoke, and what am I missing? I think that's it. And the RMX. The Stoke and RMX are kind of mixed in there too. But yeah, just to kind of like summarize it, base and the code would be below that. By the way, I forgot there was a code mixed in there because I didn't write my favorites down. I forgot to write those down, so I'm just looking at our list and kind of like giving it to you on the fly here. But last place, Jackson Nar. First place, Piranha Scorch. Barely the Jackson Flow. So the Scorch and Flow, the Flow almost took the Scorch down for me, but it did not do it. It's missing something. I don't know what it is, but it's missing something. Maybe because they didn't carry the rail out on the bow. The Scorch has wave deflectors in the bow, and I love how I can drop the bow in and make last second directional changes with that bow. So those are my two top ones right there. And my number three is THP, Ninja, and Hammer. That was
Good.
long winded, but there you go.
No, no, good list. Yeah, so my personal list, I guess I made this based on kind of what I paddle mostly, you know, if I'm taking a creek boat, Green, Chioa,
Yeah.
stuff around us. I'm not going on anything insane. So anyway, last place for me, Nirvana. Sorry, Jackson. Just did not like that boat. It's way down. I hate to say that, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I know a lot of people love it, but hey, I'm more of a like if people don't know this by now, I like a boat to be very sharp, very flowy with the river.
Yeah, because these are personal
Uh,
opinions. This is not because
yeah,
if they
total
want to
person.
know our list, yeah.
We've already recommended the other stuff for beginners and intermediate, so like this is what I like and what I would take. So again, my weight too. It has some of these missize me, so that's why they're a little bit down than others too. So yeah, Nirvana. Next would be the Flux. Code number 7. This is where I disagree with you kind of big time is the Scorch would be number 6 for me. Not because it's a bad boat. I do like the boat, but sizing,
Yeah,
it's a bad sizing for
I
my
would
size.
not disagree with that.
The small is too small. I get wrapped up too easy, and the medium feels like a boat. So anyway, if the Scorch was fit me size, I think the Scorch would be way up there for me, but it doesn't. So it is what it is. Number 5, the Stoke. 4 RMX, 3 THP, baby. 2 Flow. So Jackson, you hate us on the Nirvana, but the Flow is a good boat.
They
Number
nailed it.
two, number 2, yep. And then number 1 is Ninja for me. I think it's just a good all arounder. It's zippy. I don't know. I like the kind of, like I said, sharper kind of zippy boat. So
Yeah.
not
I would
like,
not, and you know what? The top four you just mentioned, I would not disagree with at all. Um, obviously, I do agree with you the sizing on the Scorches because when people ask about sizing, we didn't really cover sizing that much on here. I think the small Code and the small Scorch are too small.
a little bit. Yeah, I would consider the RMX 76, even if it's gallon similar, it feels a little bigger. Like it's more like a schmedium, where
Yeah,
the Scorch small and the Code small are small. Like
I
they're
feel the Flow is perfectly sized for an
it is
actual medium in my.
the
Um,
flow is like a bigger medium. Perfect sizing for me.
It's
Actually
I think it's a good size for me too. I paddle that boat and I love the zippiness and the playfulness of it because the Scorch is a little bigger volume for me. It's not a small boat by any means, and the Flow to me feels like it's a little smaller, but it's fun. I mean it's up there. So
it's
what
definitely
was it? Your
I think
diehard number one if you had
Die
to
Hard number 1
the
Ninja
Ninja. Listen
and
to that.
Die Hard last Nirvana.
Okay,
Yep. But I think I'll probably buy a flow.
there you go.
And I'm
I
not
would
even
too.
Jackson, like, not that I hate Jackson as a company, but I'm not like a Jackson, but people love their boats designs or whatever you call it, but
Yeah. Well, I
I'm,
think I think we've paddled about all of them.
yeah.
I don't like or dislike any particular company, but
What's your creek boat of the year? What do you think? Just all in all, creek boat of the year. Best sales, best everything.
Flow,
Yeah.
Jackson Flow.
I have to agree. I'm looking at the list here just to double check. Yeah, I think some of the other ones are dated, so they're not gonna the sales and stuff.
Yeah, I can't.
I think the Flow is the best design out just overall this year so far.
The coolest design is the Ninja and the THB.
Yeah.
Those two.
Again, I think they're overlooked. If you haven't tried those, try both of them. I think they're just cooler
I know
design.
everybody listen to this. If you get a chance to at least demo those boats, and I've heard mixed reviews on the THP. So I've talked to some people that just absolutely hate it, but I get it. It's not going to be. I liked it, man. I liked it. You can
Yeah, I would
really.
take one. Hey, if they want to give us one to do like media for 2 months, I'd paddle it.
Dude, there's some boats that I would just rock all the time, and the Ninja and the THP, I'd totally rock those boats with no qualms at all on that
You
one.
got Ninja access anytime you want it, so you know
I
that.
like that boat, man. I know I want to spend more time in it.
It was a
Hopefully,
shame, a dang shame we didn't have them in Colorado. Man, that would have been good.
God, yeah. So yeah, we could talk about that a little bit. Me and Matt went out to Colorado back in June. That might be a podcast for another day. We could go on about trips. and talk about the different rivers and what we
That
thought
would
was
be
our
cool,
top,
actually.
what was our top, and how to make the trip work for people. Because a lot of people will hit me up and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking of taking a trip out. What are your recommendations?" And then I have like a route that I could recommend to you, and then me and you could talk about like what to expect. But I agree, we were supposed to get a couple of ninjas, and that would have been beautiful, beautiful out there.
No, that would have been the perfect boat. Yeah. Instead, we took two boats. Never
Technically
found.
barely had any experience at all. You had a goat, but it wasn't a puffy goat. And then I had just got the sweet ride, and it was like, woof, oh boy.
All brand new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go to
and the
Colorado
Stoke
in high
was brand
water.
new. The Stoke was
Yeah.
brand new. You got
High
that one
water,
too.
Colorado, just thrown on.
Figuring it out.
That
Oh
was
god.
dumb.
Yeah, because we can actually go over some half slices. That's another podcast too. We got some because there's been several new half slices with the firecrackers and the hot whip and the sweet rod, the puffy goat. There's several like newer half slices we could kind of talk about at one point. Um, we and paddles, man. We could go a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit
we could
into
definitely
paddles.
do that.
Here recently, we've been paddling. We've been using the Arca Works Vulcan, and both me and Matt. I don't. I'll go back and forth between bent shaft and straight shaft. The Vulcan only comes in straight shaft, so just so y'all know out there, it's only straight shaft only. I don't have one around me, but it's the Blade 4 design, which is similar to this design. You can see how I'm holding up the Adachi, and basically that the paddle kind of got like came was inspired from this paddle, took inspiration from it. And this is one of the best designs paddles ever. Honestly, it's just it falls apart. That's the reason you're only seeing half of it because I broke them. Um, so, what do you think of the Arca Work Vulcan?
I love the Vulcan. I've told everybody it's definitely my favorite paddle right now. Just as far as every day, honestly, and I've used it for racing too. I wouldn't say it's better than probably like a Gala Sport for racing or anything like that, but everyday paddle. I mean, I'll try other paddles, and dude, I just want that paddle back. It's awesome.
There you go. See,
It's been through. I mean, I've had it for what me and you both had one for almost 7 months, 6, 7 months.
yeah, this is not, and we had them
Colorado, Cascades,
big
Green.
water, low water. We took them Colorado. It's like no, this was not
Mine
something
flew off the car in Colorado on the interstate. I mean,
can't even tell it.
no, it has that initial wear, but after that, dude, it's like very minimal. Yeah, people have like I know like they'll be reserved because it's like a new brand or something I don't know about, but I'm telling you, for the money, 480, $500, that is the best paddle you can buy right now. Every day, as far as the everyday paddle foam core,
Yeah, paddle of the year.
I in my mind, yeah, it looks
Paddle.
good
So
too.
boat of the year is the Flow, and then paddle of the year is going to be the Arca Work Vulcan, in my opinion. I would agree with that. And I've been testing out the prototype of the new Aqua Bound aerial, and Matt had me and him both actually got one of the production ones. What do you feel about the aerial? Just right here.
Um,
We'll do like a quick review because I
yeah,
know once again neither one of us has spent any time in them.
I'd
And
actually paddle one on the upper galley all day, so I did have
you
that.
did?
Yes.
Okay. That's
The
a good
fiber,
test.
yeah, the fiberglass I do not like. It's a little too heavy. Some people may like it. I didn't like. I probably would not use the fiberglass one. I just thought it was significantly heavier than the other paddles out there.
Yeah.
But the
Bench
carbon,
shaft. Did you have bench shaft or straight shaft, by the way?
that was just the whitewater center. I think I did. Didn't I
This is a
do it?
this is a bent, I think.
Bent?
What? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it
I mean,
was.
I know. So normally, if people just so they know, normally my like kind of like rugged paddle that I just take whatever is a strike, a Warner strike
Yeah.
glass. So I'm kind of comparing to that, and I don't know that I would choose it over that. But the carbon aerial that I took a 197 straight on the upper galley. I really like the carbon.
Okay.
Uh,
That's
Felt good. It was light. If that was available, I would take it over the Warner strike. For sure. It wouldn't be a replacement for the Vulcan, but
yeah.
for
It
like an
would
everyday
it would
paddle.
definitely fill a need in there though, wouldn't it?
But I think the price is really gonna hurt.
I don't know I looked around online. I heard word of mouth what the price was, but I have not seen anywhere written what the price is. So I've kind of been reserved on doing a review on it. I'm gonna wait and see because I don't think they're even available right now.
Not
You can,
till October, yeah.
yeah, you can't even buy them. So
Yeah, just for a personal standpoint, though, I did not like the fiberglass. I have to say, it's not a bad paddle. It just felt a little heavy. The
yeah,
carbon felt really good. Like I said, if
carbon does feel really good.
the carbon's at a good price point, I hit some rocks, didn't see any damage. It felt good. It had good
Yeah.
cadence. Didn't feather weird at all. It was smooth. I really like the carbon blade.
No,
So
so I think Aquabound did a good job with that.
it
I'm
looks
working
good
on.
too. I like kind of how they did the graphics and
I do
the
too.
font and everything.
Some people hate it, but you're not gonna please everybody.
And the
Um,
grip, nice grip. I didn't feel
yeah,
any slippage. Did get a couple
yeah.
calluses on
I'm
my
really
hand.
curious,
People out there
man.
about that.
I'm hoping that we can get our hands on one to kind of like put through its paces for a few months because paddles are a little different for me than boats. I don't like if it's a new something drastically new. Aquabound's been around for I don't know 1,000 years probably, but they haven't been in that high end paddle market. If you think about it, they've had that shred, I think's what it's called, which is more of an injected molded fiberglass mix. So they haven't been in a really good carbon layup. Like they've not had a really good high end paddle. So this is their first test at it. I'm really curious how that's going to come out. So when we get our hands on one, we'll definitely do a full on review. I got a lot of questions from my review about what I thought about that paddle, and I'm kind of reserved because I want to put it through its paces a lot more. And see how the long haul is holding up because I did that with the Vulcan and it's phenomenal. I would recommend that Vulcan over everything, honestly. Well, if you're doing racing, I would say G Power and Letman are still like way up there. But as far as like an all around paddle, you can't beat it. You know,
Yeah, I
the
mean, like I
Vulcan.
said before, it's been 6 months. I use it pretty much every time I go out and play boat with it, whatever. It's not the best play boating paddle, but it still works.
Yeah, and and
Um,
and I think that's where the Aquabound's going to fall in. I let Steven use that one. He really liked it a lot for when he was full slicing that day with us, and it was like for a full slice and half slice, you can't go wrong with that damn Aquabound, man. That thing was awesome for downriver play.
yeah. Oh, and by the way, I use the minor blade for when I test out the aqua bound. So
He
there's a
had a minor. I had
major
the
and minor.
major. So that just so people know, they come in sizes of major and minor instead of small, medium, large, or
Not a
small, large.
crazy difference though. I think we lined them up. It was
We put them together and it was like minimal. I'm really working on. I want to get one of the designers from Aquabound on a podcast. Now that the shuttle drive's fired back up and I'm driving it around again, I want to hear his thought process of what he came up with and way he designed the paddles and all that. And I think that'd be interesting on that. So
for
we'll,
sure. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the paddles we've been using. What else we've been using?
Have you used the is the level 6 stuff new? The like the layer. I use their new Vega semi or dry top but shorty. It's not a semi dry. It's got gaskets everywhere, but it's a shorty. Did really well. I don't
Let's
think any other
see.
new
It'd
gear have
be
used.
so under the base layer. I wonder if they even have it on their tops.
Romulus.
The Romulus. Oh, I have the Vulcan. I have the Vulcan Union suit. I forgot the name of that. That's
Good
called the
thing.
Vulcan. Um, that thing, and it does get a lot. I do have the Romulus top. I have that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's
Under
really
layers. Yeah, we could do like a separate podcast on layering and our favorite tops. We could cover immersion research. We've had them all at one point. Our level 6 right now has been. I support those guys. I ride or die with level 6. They're awesome guys.
paddle with Alex on the Upper Galaxy. Super cool.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That you all got to paddle together. What else? You got anything else you want to go over?
I mean, just for people out there. So the Russell Fork race, obviously
Oh
coming.
yeah, just to let everybody know, you know, Downstream V, formerly Eddie Line Creations, is I'm gonna have to do that for about 2 or 3 podcasts. So Downstream V now is he's gonna be organizing the Russell Fork race, And the Russell Fork race, for people that maybe not know, I don't know how many listeners, maybe if someone in Peru's listen to this and they're like, what's a Russell Fork? Well, the Russell Fork is a river right outside Elkhorn City, Kentucky, which is southeast Kentucky. It's in a gorge, the Russell Fork Gorge. It's an amazing river. It is absolutely one of my favorite rivers out there. Would you not agree? It's one of the best
Very
rivers
just
ever.
beautiful, and
Oh,
yeah.
it's just amazing. The rapid quality, river quality, people surrounding, everything's just amazing. Um, and there's a race that goes on always the week before another race. I think they call it the Green Race. Maybe I don't know if anybody's heard of
Ed
that
Green,
one.
I don't know. Yeah, something
Yeah,
like
and
that.
maybe nobody goes to that one. But yeah. So the Green Race is the usually the first weekend in November. This is what's the dates? I'll let you go ahead, but I just
October.
wanted to kind of like tell people what the Russell Fork race is
Let
because it's
me.
funny because not everybody might not know what it is.
Sorry, I should know this by heart, but no.
But usually, just so everybody
October
knows, Dane
28th is
Jackson
the
wins it.
actual race. Yeah, Zach won it last year, right? October 28th is the actual race
Yeah,
date. So that weekend, 27th, 28th, 29th, there'll be people there, but the actual race is the 28th October,
28th.
starting at 2 p.m. this year, a little bit earlier.
Uh oh. Well,
One
that's
minute.
different. Oh, you
So
want to start at 2 to give a little extra water.
yeah,
Okay.
well, and 1 minute intervals instead of 30 seconds, so you don't run up on people. One, and it keeps timing a little more simplistic as well.
See, this comes from a
So
true professional right here. Sounds
try
like
to
you've thought this out.
done a lot of wrestling tournaments with
Where's
kind
the
of.
where's the sign in? Is that still at
So we
Rathwell?
haven't put that out yet, but it will be through the Great Falls Foundation. They'll put that up pretty soon. We're just ironing out final details of like,
Okay.
you
And
know,
and you're gonna do is this on site? No
no
on.
no on-site registration. Everything will
You
be
hear
on.
that, everybody? No on site registration.
No if,
Don't
ands, or
show up.
buts. No if, ands, or buts. It'll be the Wednesday before the race will be cut off that
You
night.
have been posting about this for about 10
A year.
months.
Started in January, so I want
He
to hear it.
started in January, so don't act like, oh, I didn't even know the Russell
And
Fork race was
the
coming.
upper yacht race cuts off a week early, so I want to hear it.
Yeah.
No, it's just easier. Everything will be more organized that way. Yeah, it's tough. Not on anybody in particular. It's just tough if people come at 11 o'clock and register, and then you got to redo the paperwork and.
Well, yeah, because what a lot of people don't understand, you want to do a start list, you want to do your race list the night before because
Yeah,
you
so
got all
all
the
the
names
timers, you want all the timers to have the correct information, and
and go in bib order.
that's exactly right. Yeah.
I don't want to see number 5 and then number 18 and then number 6.
But it should be good, man. Yeah, first year getting some sponsors for the actual race. So Zet Kayaks, Varus, and
Hmm.
CKS Watershed.
Level
I'm
6
gonna
were
get
they in?
everybody level 6
Yeah.
Ace, Arca Works, and I feel like I'm missing somebody here. Jackson Kayak. Yeah, there we go, and myself. So appreciate it. There'll be some kind of like some custom like wood awards I had made. This guy down the road for me makes them by hand.
I've
So,
seen them. They look awesome.
and then first place is gonna get like a little granite kind of cup, I guess, with engraving on it.
Okay.
And
And
then I
where's
haven't showed that one. And then we also have cash prizes for top three in each category: women,
well,
junior, and
well,
men.
that's definitely different. I don't think that's ever been done.
So, what you were
Yes.
about to say?
Where's the check-in at?
Check
Have
in,
you ironed all this
finalizing
out yet?
that for sure, but looking like at the breaks, the little parking lot there when you kind of pull in.
Because one thing is, I've done the Russell Fork race probably 6, 7 times now. It's not my first rodeo with that race, and at Rat Hole, Ratliff, it has been a nightmare for parking, getting down. Usually, I have to park at the top of the hill and jog all the way down just to get my bib because I cannot pull down in there because of how much of a shit show that's down in that gully. I was always wondering why someone wouldn't try to like even at the top of Rat Level. I don't care.
That
How
was
about
my
just
original plan.
just set a boot, just set
But
a
the park,
canopy up.
yeah, the park ranger was like, I asked him about the brakes parking lot. He's like, yeah, sure. So yeah, when you pull on the brakes, you go around some curves, and there's
I love that
that
campground.
that main hotel there on the left
I know
lobby.
exactly where you're
And
talking about.
right
I've
past
stayed
it on the
there.
left. That will be the where we're gonna set up. Obviously, if it's like super thunder, like 90-mile-per-hour winds, and I don't know, we might have to go back to the rat hole. But rain, sunshine or just some sprinkling, or,
Because this is just basically check-in. This is not
yeah, there
sign
was
up
not
or
even registration anymore. It's
yeah.
literally
So
picking up a
and
bib.
that was another thing with doing it at Rylove Ho was it was just a nightmare for registering. They'd be trying to do last minute sign-ins and all this and I mean, it was just like a nightmare down there. So this is basically pick up your bib, say, "Hey, I'm here," and all that,
And
right?
you're out. And
Yeah.
plus, it's right by the put in. So,
And you're only looking at like just stopping in, getting it, and going.
yeah, I'm looking at some volunteers who can maybe set up a little bit something to eat for people, like some bagels or something. I don't know. And then we still need volunteers for safety and timing. Come on, people. Come on. Safety and
They'll be
timing.
they'll be they'll all show up the day of. You watch.
There's some significant prizes like level 6 Vega, Jackson Orion cooler, ArcaWorks
Really
paddle.
good. Whew.
I mean, for like 14 spots of volunteers. So, I mean, you can
It's
end
a
up a $500 paddle for doing hardly
what?
any
How much work? I mean, how long's the race last?
work. 2 hours total.
2 hours. 2 hours of your life.
I know.
Yeah.
Step up.
So
Come on, people, step up.
yeah, I'm sure it'll work out, man. That's really good that you stepped up and
Wade's
did that.
coming. He's already prepping for it. He's gonna get
Yeah.
second this year. What you say, second?
I might stub a toe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be there. And if my as long as nothing's happening, I'm planning on being there. And I don't think I'll race this year. If I'm going to be helping, it's really tough to kind of do that and race, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people that just go to hang out. I don't know why you wouldn't want to help. Need
Yeah, I'm
safety
not. I
because you
probably
need
won't race.
safety at triple drop. You're going to need it around Maze. You're going to need it at probably El Horrendo,
Climax. Yeah.
Climax. Three spots, especially triple drop, climax, and El Horrendo.
We talked about it last year. Triple drop seemed like it changed because there are people just getting destroyed in
Some
that,
good boaters got their ass
including
whooped in it.
myself.
Yep, I watched it. It was pretty good. Too bad I didn't get that on video. Yeah, we seen a guy swim as you were getting out over there catching your breath. I think a guy swam, didn't he?
That whole, I don't know, it was brutal last year.
Yeah. So yeah, there it is, everybody. That's the Creek Boat podcast, and what else do we talk about? We got anything else you want to go over?
I'm sure we got 7 more podcasts to come.
Yeah, for everybody, and I'll leave links below for all these boats we talked about in the description below where you can buy some. I recommend using CKS if you're going to buy any of the boats like that CKS sells. And then Matt sells. He has some demos of the Zet boats. So we did talk about the the Ninja, and if you guys are interested in that, Matt can definitely help you out getting a demo for that one. And the THP is going to be Splatipus Imports. I definitely support those guys. Seth and Tim, Splatipus, they've been bringing in Letman for a while. And if you guys are interested in like a Letman THP, it's the underrated baby. It's a sleeper, the sleeper.
Then you
Um,
got what, Cleva and High Water Hobbies for
yeah, with Waka, if you're doing Waka, go through those guys. Yeah, man. And I guess that's it. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Matt, how can everybody get a hold of you? Well, you still doing YouTube thing, right?
oh yeah, YouTube, I guess. I mean,
He still makes videos, everybody.
downstream V Creations, or if you want to email me, it's Matt at dsv-creations.com.
Yeah.
There you go.
And you guys,
Instagram, the same thing, downstream underscore V or something like that.
so you're officially Downstream V. Do you have any merch?
Downstream
Let's
V.
see some of that merch. I'm sure you got some.
I do. I have a hoodie with and a t-shirt with like a word scramble on it. Did I give you one?
No, I got. See
Uh,
that was my wall art. So where does this go now?
you can still wear those because it doesn't have Eddie line on it. The
So,
word Eddie
well,
line.
it's my background art.
Oh gosh, you left your OEG things they dropped.
Oh, hey, remember this, everybody? I saved this.
Oh, now it's off the shelf.
It's off the shelf. Do you know they took this off? You can't buy this anymore.
Yep, I do.
Somebody died or something.
I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. So you know what? We didn't die, but
No,
no, I
it's not
left
for
it.
children, and a child did it. I mean, I
I
feel
would not
bad.
recommend that. No, I would not recommend that.
But yeah, for a plug-in just for me. I do have some the sun hoodies and a t-shirt with like a word scramble on the back. It's like a shaped paddle and has all the different kayaking words.
Yeah, and you could go to his YouTube channel, Downstream V, if you see that. And I'm
And I do
sure
have all my bolts back in stock
TK bolts, baby, TK,
if anybody wants them
rolling on those.
for the
Well, all
people.
right, man, we're gonna go ahead and we'll wrap this up. So yeah, for everybody listening, it's been good, and we will start having a couple more. Well, we'll figure it out.
Now that the shuttle's rolling, I'll have to
Yeah,
get you on for something too.
yeah, we'll get now. We put gas back in the bus, so let's go. All right, man. Well, Matt, I'll catch you later, buddy. See you,
All
man.
right, dude,
All
see
right,
ya.
see you.